on today's episode, we are talking about how to keep going when you just don't feel like it. And sometimes it's just a light, like we didn't get a good amount of sleep, and you're like, oh, I can't keep going as a mom. Like I have all of these big goals and dreams, and I just don't have the energy to make them happen. That is such a real thing. And then there's the extreme cases where you are going through a very, very dark season as a mom, whether it's postpartum depression, losing a baby, which I don't wish on any mother or father. It is a very, very hard thing to work through. I was in pediatric cancer support services for 10 years, and I saw so many moms have to grieve their child, and it's not easy by any stretch of the imagination. And so I really wanted to open up a conversation today for those that are struggling with big and small challenges, and like their heart wants to keep going, their heart wants to move forward, and it's feeling hard. And that is such a real thing. I've felt that so many times throughout my journey. And so I wanted to bring on an amazing mama, Stacy, to talk about this topic. This is a topic that so I think it's just really important, because when we can hear other people's stories, we can have a lot of healing and hope for the future. Hi, Stacy.
Hey, how are you all today?
So good, so good. So welcome to the show, and I am so excited that you're on today, because I know there's a lot of mamas hurting, that are silently hurting, and I love that you're so open about your story, and I have no doubt that you can give so many moms hope and inspiration when they don't feel like continuing to move forward and to go towards their dreams and just feel good. So I would love for you to share more about your story, and then we can see where the conversation takes us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had no idea that you worked with children and families who are going through the cancer journey and who have, gosh, that hardship. There's just so many elements and aspects to that. That a lot of people don't realize, right? Because not a lot of people do speak up about it. I didn't know much of that journey until my perfect bubble was popped, and then there we are in that whole scenario. And it's just life changing on so many ways. But so thank you for sharing that. I appreciate you sharing that. So I'm a mama, of course. Hey, mamas, and I have three children. Two of them are still rocking it here on Earth. My two oldest girls, they are 7 and 8 now. And my son is living beyond his worldly body, shaking it up with us sometimes, letting us know that he's here. And he was 5 when he passed, and he had something called DIPG-DMG, which is a brainstem cancer and tumor. So that is ultimately where we found our challenge and our struggle, and doing everything that we possibly could to give him the outcome despite what people were telling us. And that's something that I would love to just kind of like make apparent, is that despite, people can say, here's the outcome, this is what we expect, and for mamas, that's really hard for us to process and take in. And sometimes we could be like, no, fuck y'all. Okay, like, fuck y'all, like we're gonna do everything, and we really do, but it's so much stress and it's so hard. Nervous systems get shattered, and no matter how strong you are and how much you try to push forward, it just uh, it breaks you in so many ways. Okay, it really does, but it also strengthens you in so many ways. I feel like through that journey, we kind of realize who we really are and how we show up in our strength for our babies. It's so important. So that's kind of how I have come into my new pathway here with working with bereaving mothers who are looking to get back into their business, or have come out of this process with a really big mission for life and for other mamas that they also want to impact and help. So that's how I've come full circle with that. But even before that, I was working with moms since 2020, doing life coaching and self-empowerment and spirituality and all of those lovely things that really helped me through that time as well. Because I don't think if I had done that for myself before this tragedy, I would have been even more broken than what I am now.
Well, and I think it's so beautiful, the evolution of what's preparing for, like what's preparing us for what we don't even know
Yeah.
yet. And you working and preparing also, I have no doubt, supported your son through the process too, because you were stronger, which I think is huge. And so the hardest part, I think, one of the hardest things is when you are an entrepreneur, you don't get sick days. When you're a mom, you don't get sick days. The pressure is sometimes suffocating. And there's so many needs that have to happen, whether you feel good or not. And so in those moments where you're like, I don't want to keep going. This is so heavy. This is so hard. There's so much pressure. Like, what supported you? Like, what tools and resources did you pull out on those days that you're like, man, I just don't know?
Right. So that's where a lot of the resolvement and healing happens, is in those moments where you're just like, I need to give myself some space. And we do. We really need to give ourselves some space. And I know sometimes it's hard, right? If we have to show up for our businesses and show up for our careers and stuff like that. But take the time while you're at home. Okay. When your business, when your career isn't at your forefront where you still have to show up for it, take some time at home for yourself. Okay, really just say, I'm clearing whatever schedule I had. If the kids got to go to gymnastics, screw it. We're not going to gymnastics tonight. We'll do a makeup session sometime, okay? Because ultimately, you've got to trust that you will make up for the things that you take your time for now. Okay, you will. Okay, so you should not have to force yourself to continue going on, to accomplish, to tick off your task lists and stuff like that. Okay, no, you're important, and what you're going through is important. So you need to make space for that, because that is a very sacred space. A lot of people are like, I don't want to touch that. I don't want to feel sad. I don't want to, go through the feelings, and eventually, like, work and career could be avoidance of the self-development and self-care that you need, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So
Yep.
let's just acknowledge that, okay? So really, realize that the healing and the feelings and the thoughts that you're processing and taking yourself through that and out of that, that's a very sacred, sacred space. And if we acknowledge it as that, if we say, this isn't something that I have to make time for my self-development, this is a sacred place for me to grow in this moment, which is going to help me long term. Okay. Because if you keep avoiding it or you don't want to touch it, you're still going to have all those cycles, and they're still going to be heavier and heavier, probably even as you move along. It's going to become a worse and harder to do later on. It does. And it
Yes.
sucks. It sucks at any time, okay? It does. But if you do it right when you feel it, okay, then it's going to be easier to process, and it's going to help you along later.
I love that. And you're so right. We get to feel safe feeling the heavier, bigger emotions, which I know is a process for so many of us. But typically, when we have a good cry, you feel better after. Like,
Absolutely.
it's that releasing of emotions that can be so healing. Like, we do get to feel to heal. And when we don't feel safe and we do, like you mentioned, like keep stuffing it down and keep stuffing it down, and like you can feel all your feelings and still be strong. Like, you can, like, it is such a balance of both of those. And like, I love the work that you're doing, because the strong women need other strong humans. So like, you're giving that space for mamas that are strong and you are giving them more strength so they don't have to feel like it's all on their shoulders, which I love so much.
Absolutely. No, we don't have to do this alone. Like it's already heavy enough, right?
Yes.
So when we have the right community and the right support, it can, like you said, it could take a lot off our shoulders. We know that we have the support that we need
Yes.
now to help us to feel lighter, even when we're going through such goodness. I can't, I could probably give y'all a whole year's worth of talking about all this stuff that I went through, right?
Yeah.
But having those support, even if it's just one person, was fundamental for me to continue going on and to continue um, accomplishing the things that I wanted to accomplish. Yeah.
Yes. Well, and I find that when someone's going through something very, very challenging, some people don't know how to respond. Some people don't know how to help. Some people don't know how to react. What served you and what did not serve you on your journey? Because I think it is helpful to know that when our loved ones are going through things, and like, everyone will be different, but like I would love to hear from you, like what really did serve you through this dark period of time.
You know, I love that you asked that because that's actually something that I'm preparing right now is the
Yay!
document of responses from multiple mamas who have gone through this and their answers so that this gives supporters for those going through the journey and especially after. That's what I'm kind of focusing on now is the after part.
Yeah.
Uh, so that this can be a visible document for people to just come and see, read, and then get some ideas and some insights so that they maybe can feel more prepared to help the person going through this. So I love that you asked that question. Um, some big things for me, I loved and really, really appreciated having a food drive. So having people show up with food,
Mm.
okay? Because I could not even get off the couch. I was binge watching crime scene documents, and for a reason, because I found that, at one point I felt a little bit crazy because I was like, why did I have so much hope? Why did I keep pushing so hard when everybody told me to just make memories, you know? And something on one of those crime scene documentations said the person had went missing. They're like, how could you give up on your child even when you know that the outcome's probably not the best? And I related to that. And I was like, that's exactly why. See, I'm not crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that I was going to do everything I possibly could for my child to have the best outcome. Absolutely. And so that made me feel better as a person, and as a mom who went through that. I'm like, that's exactly what I was going through. But when I was in the moment, I couldn't like that. I couldn't even realize that my drive was going in that direction. But some things that helped me, definitely a food drive. Okay, show up with food, show up with nourishing food.
Yes.
Okay, because our energy is important. We barely have any energy when
Mm-hmm.
we're going through the bereavement and grieving process. So having food, somebody even I believe it was my aunt gave us like $400 worth of gift cards for, whether it's a DoorDash or, there's all kinds of different apps that you can just order food from for your family. So that was huge for us as a whole family getting through those initial months. Um, one big one, that's for sure. Another one, I would say, let me see, because there's a lot, but I want to give you like top three.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But all are so important. Um, Definitely just being able to take the space that I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And for my husband as well, being able to take the space he needed. So whenever it comes to work, like I was a stay-at-home mom and I stopped working on my business to focus on my children and our family during that time. So for me, energetically, it was a bit more challenging to get back into business and to get back into the life that I needed to start to start doing again, grocery shopping, cooking and stuff like that. So just being able to ride the waves. Some days I was like, man, I am accomplishing so much. I've got energy. I'm going to go for a hike. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So just having empathy and realizing that this is not a straight road. It is not an incline. It's not a constant incline. There's going to be big waves of ups and downs. So just being able to acknowledge when a person is having an up moment and having the energy, family members, I'm talking to y'all who are expecting, people to come show up over spring break or for holidays and stuff like that. I understand it's different for y'all, but for the ones who are going through it, it's a bit more challenging to say, yeah, we're going to come spend some time for vacation, yada, yada. But then they hit that bottom wave and they just don't feel like they can, or they're getting triggered so much that it's just like not mentally, emotionally, they're not capable. They don't want to be triggered for something else, coming up. They don't want to feel pressured to have to speak about their children because sometimes it feels like a big elephant in the room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows what happened, but they don't
Yes.
know how to talk about it, okay? It's so true. So what can you do? You can ask questions. You can say, when would it be okay for me to mention this person? Or do you want
Mm,
us to take pictures off of our wall so that you don't, see that and it triggers something? So
yeah.
small things like that. Small things like that can make a huge difference, especially during holidays like Christmas time. Still reprocessing those things. You miss your child. You're not buying presents for them this year. That's hard,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
And I love the feedback of asking questions because it opens up a dialogue
Yeah.
for that person and puts them like in the driver's seat. And they may say, I don't know, or they may say, yes, please take down the photos, or like it allows them to have the autonomy to like make the decision rather than like, I'm sorry for what you're going
Yeah.
through. Like that typically is not very helpful.
Right.
It's like, well, like, yeah, this effing sucks. Like, no one wants to be in this.
Mhm.
And like during my work with pediatric cancer families, one thing I noticed was there was all of that love and support and, resources after the child passed away. And then we typically, as an organization, would step in like when everyone went back to life. And it was huge because that's when we found families being like, wow, I had all this like, love and support and meals, and then it all, went away, right? Like
Exactly.
everyone went back to their life, and there's nothing wrong with that. But then that's when the parents we noticed would, start plummeting, like their emotions, like, because when you have all of that love and support, it can be really helpful. And then when everyone goes back, it's like, whoa, now we're alone. Now we've got to face all those emotions.
Yeah.
And so, I think also thinking about like this grief is an ongoing process. It's not just in the beginning and then everything's fine, because that's not true at
Right.
all. Um, uh, I love that you do like readings and like you're very energetic. Um, and I'm assuming very woo woo. Would I guess correctly?
I don't know if I would consider myself a woo-woo,
Okay.
but definitely I am in the psychic realm, the
Okay.
spiritual realm. Um, I don't know if I would say I'm as woo-woo as others, but
Okay.
that's definitely like my realm of support as well.
Okay.
Yes.
I love that. Well, are you open to a message that I'm receiving for you?
Oh, yes, please. I would love that.
Like my heart is beating so fast, but I've been really embracing like the intuitive psychic side of me, because it's always been there, but it's, when you're different, it's not normally welcome. So I just wanted to ask permission, but like your son is coming through and just like really just wants to say thank you for fighting for him and being there for him, and like you did everything in your power. Like, so that's just the message that's like really deeply coming through. um and so I just wanted to send that your way, because it's like so loud and clear, like through this whole conversation. um he's just like, please tell her that she did everything, and he's very, very grateful. So I hope that helps. Um,
Yes. Thank you.
And I really don't think that there's any ever accidents in this world as far as connection with other people. Like, I love that you signed up to have this interview because so many moms are grieving and hurting in silence, and it takes a really strong human to not only go through what you went through but then to help other mamas. So I would love to make sure that we give light to what you're doing and how moms can receive your support. So if you feel comfortable, I would love for you to share about what your offerings are.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. And thank you for sharing that. That was something that I worried about so heavily afterwards. Like, what could I have missed? What could I have done? What shouldn't I have done? There's all those questions that can really mess with us in so many ways. And I know for me, it definitely took down my self-confidence. It took down, I felt so much doubt within myself about what I was doing, about, me as a parent, as a choice maker, because unfortunately, with our young ones, we have to be the one that makes the decisions for their lives. And that is so heavy, and it can weigh on you. Like, did I do everything? Should I have done something else? Yeah. So those are all things that can also impact us in our own journey through our healing, but also into the impact that we make for other people through our businesses. If we're sitting there in self-doubt, that stuff carries on in so many different ways.
Yes.
Um, so that's definitely one thing that I help mamas with, is to their self-empowerment, their trusting in their decision making, and trusting that they can do big, huge things despite what they've been through, because that messes with us in so many ways, mentally, physically, emotionally. It definitely does. So I have two options that I have for people. One is my membership. So I have a membership called Legacy Moms, and it's a community of big fiery hot mamas that are just making such huge impact, and they all have um, that commonality of having lost a child. And so I feel that that was important to create, because we get the hardship of that. We get those energy waves. We get that ambition that we have, but also the things that have affected us from the past. So, and when we go through those waves and those tender moments, we're able to rely on each other and to tend to each other through that time. So that is my membership. It is $50 a month, but for the next three people, I'm letting them in for free for the first 6 months. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And oh my gosh, I have just phenomenal mothers coming in to share with us insights and activities and like things to help us connect with each other, but also most importantly with ourselves again.
Mm.
So I have got so many great speakers and practitioners coming in. I'm so excited about that. And the second option I have is working one-on-one with me, whether you need a single session or you need like quarterly or long term. I'm here to help you with all of those big, big transitions that you may be going through, or those things that you need to to resolve within yourself,
Mm-hmm.
coming back to that inner power again, so that you can direct yourself and create this huge impact that you want in the world.
I love that so much. And you have such like a calming energy to you, which I think is so important to like have that throughout the process. So I can't think of a better person to like link arms with, whether it's in the membership or one-on-one. This is so needed. Like, it's so needed, and I love that you're creating it. And if anyone that's watching, so it's the next three people, is that what you said?
Next three. Yeah.
Okay, so how, if they know somebody or they are a grieving mother, how can they connect with you, get all of the information, and get connected into the legacy program?
Absolutely. You can definitely message me directly here on Instagram or on Facebook. Honestly, I'm more on Facebook, but I will respond to both. Okay. So that is the most direct, quickest way to get to me. And then I can fill you in on all the benefits that you'll be receiving, any type of support that you need. We can just chat it out because everybody's different. Like you said, we're all on different levels of needs and levels of support that we need. So I absolutely love having that personal fluctuation
Hmm.
to support people in the way that they
No,
need.
I love that so much. And it can be healing when you mentioned like when you're in the container with other women that just get it. Like they you don't have to hide out. You don't have to put on a pretend smile. You can just come as you are, and that can be so refreshing to not have to, muster up the courage to be like, "Yes, I'm fine. Everything's fine." So, I love that you're creating that space where they can just let it all out and be whatever that means for them and move forward and heal through the process too with each other. So that's amazing. So before we end today, what is one little piece of hope and inspiration that you would say to that mom that is in that challenging dark place and really just like, I don't know if I can keep going, like I'm just having a hard time?
Yeah, I would definitely say allow yourself to go through that motion.
Okay.
Okay, the more I call it self-bonding because you really are bonding with
Mm-hmm.
yourself when you go through those times when you're able to express just your truest feelings, thoughts, and emotions. And that doesn't mean that you're going to act anything out. It doesn't mean that your life is going to end. It doesn't mean anything. It's just freedom to express yourself
Mm-hmm.
is so important. Because whenever we go through those, we're like, I shouldn't be thinking that. I shouldn't be feeling that. You know what I mean? So, kind of like how you mentioned, when we're able to just kind of allow it to come out, you're releasing it, and that doesn't sit within your system anymore, right? It's just like, okay, I acknowledge these feelings, I acknowledge these thoughts, and now how can I take one even small action to move
Mm-hmm.
forward? Even if it's just saying, okay, like I love myself and I am powerful, even though I have these thoughts and these feelings, and I can take this time right now to just be with this and then move forward
Mm.
at the time that is right for me.
Yes.
Because I feel like, especially as businesswomen, we're like, okay, I'm going through this. Let's think, okay, what's the next action? Okay, like let's move forward. But if you don't take that space to just journey through
Mm-hmm.
that and to give yourself, um, I almost feel like it's ritualistic in some ways where you're able to just speak and bond with yourself. Okay, like that's where that self-development, that self-growth, and that self-power comes through. It's
Yes.
the bond you have with yourself, realizing I'm thinking and I'm feeling this way, but like I also know this incredible part of me as well. And it's like duality, right? They
Mm-hmm.
can both exist within you,
Yes.
but lead with one.
Yes.
Okay,
I
lead with
love
the
that.
other one.
Yes. So good. It's so good. So good. Well, thank you for sharing your heart and your story. And please, please, please connect with Stacy. And just this is such a great membership. And any mom that I know, I will send your way because this is so valuable and so needed. So thank you for sharing your heart and going on your journey and helping others do the same.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this
Me too.
conversation, and
Me too.
yeah, thank you so much.
Well, we're cheering you on and we can't wait to continue to support you. All
Appreciate you.
right. Much love.
Bye, everyone.